Some of you may know me, most of you most likely won't. My name is Nikolai Hall. I'm a sophomore at Haldo High School. Today I've come to present you guys with an engineering challenge to build a small-ish foam board or cardboard aircraft that can fly about 40 feet with 1 pound of weight. However, there is a reward for whoever aircraft carries the most and flies the furthest. First place gets $5 in a bag of candy of their choice. Second place gets just a bag of candy. Third gets a small bag of candy. And everybody gets lifesavers if you participate. The rules are pretty simple. I will supply all resources, materials, and teach you how to go through the design process of creating a plane. And you will just have to participate, make your plane, test it, revise it, and at the end, see whose plane flies the furthest, and then write a paragraph on what you learned. But that's his choice if you end up writing a paragraph.
Oh, they'll end up writing a paragraph.
It might be longer depending on how much. Sorry about that. There will be a little bit of math involved in this, seeing as it's aeronautics, but not a lot, and I'll be sure to keep it as fast and as easy to understand as possible. Most of what you'll be learning is science related on forces of flight, forces of movement, lift, thrust, drag, center of mass, center of weight, angle of attack, most stuff that he's told me you guys have already learned. However, there are going to be some new terms that if you decide to take this, you will learn. So, how and why do aircraft fly and what types are there? There are hundreds of different types of aircraft, from subsonic, supersonic, to jets, to turbofans, to propeller, to glider. Each type of plane is referred to by its engine type. Propeller planes are called propeller planes because they use a propeller to create thrust. Gliders glide, they don't create thrust. A turbofan uses what's known as a turbofan to create thrust. Jets use jets. It's pretty self-explanatory. All planes fly off the basic principle of lift versus thrust versus mass versus drag. Your thrust has to counteract your drag, and your lift has to counteract your mass. How and why? These are going to be your 3 questions that you will answer throughout the project if you decide to do so. How and why do planes fly? Planes fly due to many contributing factors such as lift, drag, mass, and thrust, with the change of motion depending on where the most drag is located on the plane. Depending on the center of mass on the plane will favor that direction. This can be counteracted by center of lift and angle of attack of the wings. And your 3rd question, which apparently I didn't answer, gravitational interactions depending on the mass and distance of the objects. Pretty much referring to how much does gravity affect your plane versus other planes of similar size. These are the words you will learn, if you don't already know. Lift, drag, thrust, mass, COM, COL, COT, AOA, pitch, roll, yaw, fuselage, wings, tail, ailerons, stabilizers, and flaps. So from a show of hands, who knows most or all of these?
I know mass.
Most or all of them. So we have a few people. Who knows about half of them? Okay, so most of the class. So I assume you all know what lift is. Drag. Stop me when I get to a word that you guys don't know. Mass. COM.
I don't know that one.
COM stands for center of mass. It is where the center of weight is located on your plane. COL is center of lift. That's where the most amount of lift is generated on your plane. COT is center of thrust. That is where the most thrust is being generated on your plane. AOA is angle of attack. Can anybody assume what pitch is?
The nose? Like how high the nose is?
The angle of the nose. You are correct. Does anybody know what roll is?
No, I don't know.
Roll is how, did you know?
No, probably not.
Roll is how far your wings are rolled to one side versus the other. Does anyone know what yaw is? Yaw is it's the third axis of flight, where roll is this way, yaw is this way, or pitch is this way. Yaw is your horizontal movement from side to side. Most aircraft don't use yaw to turn, however some aircraft do, like the famous F-22 Raptor, F-35, Su-57, all of those super fancy aircraft we use yaw to fly and to turn. Does anybody know what the fuselage is? Oh, it's the main body of a plane. That's where you are. I hope you know that. Oh, I assume everybody knows what wings are.
Yeah.
Tail. Ailerons. Not ailerons are hinged flaps, but the wings used to help control the pitch of the plane. Stabilizers. Does anybody know what those are? Has anybody heard the term vertical or horizontal stabilizers? It's on the tail of the plane. It's what keeps it facing the direction you want to go. Flaps. Does anybody know what flaps are?
Are there the things on the wings that come out on the plane's landing?
Yes, those are the flaps. Flaps help generate additional lift on the wings. Our challenge is to create the most efficient cardboard planes of real designs, meaning you will get to copy almost any real-world design of a plane and make it your own. You want to stick as closely to the original as possible, but some planes that's not possible to do with, so you can take some creative liberties. I will ask that you do stick to real designs because they have certain specs I can help you with and it makes the math easier. Materials you'll be given for this: foam board or cardboard, tape, hot glue, skewers, and access to 3D printers, as well as any other just random objects we decide you'll need throughout the course of the challenge, such as the weights once we get there, and any additional reinforcements for the nose of your plane. The procedure of this challenge is to learn and discover the reason planes fly and why some fly more efficiently than others. Second, design and draw out your design. This is the stage where you'll actually get hands-on with the cardboard and start drawing the design from the plane you picked. Third, get approval to build. This is once you'll confirm with either me or Mr. MacArthur that your design is good, and we'll let you cut it out. Fourth is review and revise your design. This is the stage where you're actually going to build your aircraft. You're going to build it, put it together, and each one of you will have 1 to 2 test flights with your aircraft. Then, you will revise your design based off what you found works and what doesn't work. This is when it will actually be most beneficial to also pay attention to what peers do with similar types of aircraft. And then 5 is to make your large scale. This is the plane that will actually carry the weight, and test and revise this one. You'll only have 1 test flight with this plane to make your edits and revisions. Final, this is for your artsy people, final edits and paint. You will be allowed to paint your aircraft within reason. Your hypothesis, this is the sad part, you have to write a paragraph. You will make a short hypothesis depending on one of these questions, or on one of these 2 questions. Basically, the 2 questions we went over in the start. And next paragraph, or next slide, please. Sorry, I'm running off 2 hours of sleep. High school is not more fun than middle school. Don't let them lie to you. This is to help any of you, if you need to know how to write a hypothesis, this is the style we will be using. So, in your opinion, tell me which aircraft without the use of thrust, meaning without engines, would fly the furthest. Go ahead.
I think the one that looks like a boomerang.
This one?
Yeah. Because I feel like it would just...
Any others? You?
I think that one right there.
This one? Anybody else have a guess? Well, actually it's this one. This is a glider, as this is what's referred to as a flying wing. Flying wings are really efficient aircraft. However, without the use of their engines, they just tend to spin in a circle, like a boomerang.
Oh.
Gliders are actually designed to fly without the use of an engine, thus the name glider. In conclusion, this is where you'll write your conclusion as to what your aircraft did and how it performed. The rules of the challenge are pretty simple. All designs for both 3D printing and plane designs themselves will be approved by one of the people supervising this competition. Second, no outside parts from home or found around the classroom. You use what you're given and nothing more, because if not, it would be unfair to those who didn't have access. Third, this is probably the easiest rule, don't throw your plane inside. Be responsible, be smart. This is a gracious thing that he's letting me do. Let's not make fools of ourselves and do things we shouldn't. Fifth is what your plane will actually be judged on. I didn't put these up here because I forgot to. So your plane will be judged off its speed, its distance flown, how straight it flied, and how much weight it carried. So the weight your plane carried will multiply your score in the end. The distance your plane flies, or time aloft, as it would be called, will set for every foot you get 1 point. For the straightness of your flight, if your flight goes perfectly straight and it has less than 3 feet of error, you get 3 points, 2 points if it's beyond, and then so on and so forth, the further off your plane is. The speed of your plane. If your plane is going incredibly fast, that can be a benefit sometimes, however, that can also hurt sometimes. The speed of your aircraft, I will do the math for, because it's pretty hard to do, but aircraft speed is measured in knots of indicated ground speed, or CAS, case, whatever. So, for that, the time it takes your plane from throne to touching down, divided by the distance, that's your speed. I probably have that backwards, but I know how to do the math for that. That is a 1 to 2 times multiplier for your score. So if you go 100 feet and you cover that distance in 10 seconds, that's 2 times the amount of points. You now have 200 points. The weight. However much weight you carry beyond your aircraft can carry beyond a pound multiplies your score by that number. If your aircraft is capable of carrying 2.5 pounds, that's 2.5 times the amount of points you get.